Welcome to another week of Operation Evil. This is episode 32, titled Dr. Fraud. I am your host, Nyoka.
I'm Rachael.
And we are still recording in a different space, but the reason why this week is because snow visited and the roads were kind of crappy. So we decided to do it this way again. But anyway, it's nice to be back and to talk to you guys again. If you don't mind, like our social media pages, share us, review us, all those good things. Take any polls we have out there. We want your feedback, anything you want to say, any ideas, reach out and check out our Patreon. I don't know about you, Rachael, but isn't this podcast like the best thing we did? Just started it and just.
Yes, it is. It's very, I will say it over and over again, it's very therapeutic. So if you're searching for some kind of therapy, some kind of outlet, creative outlet, what can you do, Nyoka?
Well, I mean, you could start your own podcast.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I listened to so many and I was like, I can do that. I'm going to do that. Let's do that, Rachael. And you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, come on. And you're like, okay. So go ahead and start a podcast. And it's okay if you don't know.
Get that friend to do it with you.
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't know what to do, that's okay. We didn't either. We figured it out. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go to Buzzsprout. And Buzzsprout is just an easy way to launch your podcast. It gets your show listed on every major platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. It also offers different options depending on how much time you want to podcast per month. There's a free version, but if you want to upgrade, you can do that too. Buzzsprout has tons of guides out there to help you find the right equipment at the right price. You'll also get a great looking podcast website, detailed analytics to see how and where other people are listening, and tools to promote your episodes. It is the funnest part. We go on there all the time and look at who's listening in other countries. It's amazing. Personally, I love that Buzzsprout, and they have a YouTube channel and they post new episodes weekly that are like helpful tips and tricks that you can like incorporate into your own podcast. So if you're looking for a sign, consider this one. If you're looking for an outlet, consider this one. Go ahead, consider it. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get your message out to the world. To start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card, because who doesn't want a $20 Amazon gift card just for signing up?
Yeah.
To do that, just follow the link in the show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and it helps support our show. It is a win-win-win-win-win. So check it out today. Like as soon as this episode's over, click on that link. All right, on to the show. Rachel's given this one this week. Dr. Fraud. It's all yours, baby.
This may be a case that, a lot of people have heard about. Like when I was doing some research, there was quite a few podcasts out there about this dude. And this case has also been depicted in different like crime series and television shows. It was featured like, how like Law and Order kind of like takes stories out of the headlines?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So kind of like that, like it was in The Good Doctor, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. There was a Japanese drama called Hina that it was kind of featured in. And this case was featured on Autopsy, episode 7, Dead Men Talking on HBO.
Well, this must be good if it's being featured in reality and drama shows.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And you know how I'm obsessed with like things that I'll see like years ago. And I know other people got to be like this too, where they'll see something years ago on TV and they'll just think about it and kind of like dwell about it. So this, where I first saw it, was on Forensic Files.
Well, I know you mentioned it like before we even started podcasting, didn't you?
Probably, maybe.
So I'm
so
excited.
Many.
I'm excited.
You're gonna
really
love
don't
his
know
name.
much.
You're gonna love his name too.
What is it?
Shcneeberger.
Shcneeberger?
Shcneeberger.
Okay.
In 1987, John Shcneeberger moved to Canada from South Africa. 4 years later, he marries Lisa Dillman, and he is practicing medicine at the Kipling Medical Center in Kipling, Saskatchewan. That's in Canada, okay?
That sounds fancy.
It was said that many women would fake an illness just to go see the doctor. Like, he was really just attractive and just really sweet, just they admired him and they admired his wife.
That's the kind of doctor you want.
Yeah, ease your nerves.
Yeah.
He was very well liked in the community. Lisa, like I said, she would often receive comments of admiration, like, "Oh, you're so lucky to be married to him," blah blah blah. So when Lisa and John met, Lisa already had 2 children. And during their marriage, they had 2 kids together. So, I guess more or less like he took on the role of stepfather, the 4 kids, it was all a little family. And also during this time, John had obtained his Canadian citizenship in 1993. So this was like 2 years after he marries Lisa. John, however, though, was not the good guy the community thought he was. In 1992, only a year after marrying his wife, so actually they got married in 1991. In 1992, this event started, and then during this, he's obtaining his citizenship, okay? So in 1992, only a year after marrying his wife, a young woman in her 20s came into the hospital one late night because, I remind you again, Dr. Shcneeberger, John, he worked as a physician at the Kipling Medical Center. So it was late at night, and this girl, she was really upset over a fight with her boyfriend. So she goes to the hospital to talk to her friend, but her friend isn't working. She was so upset that one of the nurses suggested that she see a doctor. The doctor was Dr. Shcneeberger, who also happened to be her doctor, like her family doctor. He even delivered one of her children. Candy, as she is referred to in an episode of Forensic Files, said she thought Dr. Shcneeberger would give her some pills to calm her muscles because he could see that she was really angry and really upset. Like, I guess she was to the point where she was like erratic. But he gave her a shot instead. She said her body felt like jello and she tried to scream. The doctor started raping her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sometime later, Candy regains consciousness, and she ends up staying the night in the hospital because she's so groggy that she can't drive. So she spends the night, and that morning she wakes up and she immediately leaves from the hospital. But within that time, like as she had woke up from being unconscious, she's like, something has happened to me. I don't know what, but something has happened. And she quickly is thinking, quickly, and she seals her underwear, takes her underwear and seals them in a plastic bag.
That's smart.
Yeah. So, that morning she leaves from the hospital, and I'm not clear if she goes home first to her parents and tells them what has happened, or if she immediately drives 2 hours away to a rape clinic. They detected semen on her jeans and her underwear, and they found a drug in her system called Versed. Now, this is a drug that's used to induce anesthesia. It causes numbness and sleepiness, which, of course, is exactly how that drug that Dr. whatever his name is injected, it made her feel, that the medicine that he injected into her. So almost immediately, Dr. Shcneeberger was given a blood test to compare his DNA to the samples collected from Candy. The DNA did not match. And she is like, what? And he claims that she is experiencing erotic fantasies, that the drug can do that sometimes. A load of crap.
That's I can't imagine me and her like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you're that like groggy. It's like, you know, something happened, but you're not sure. You're trying to piece it together, but you know what happened. Once the allegations against John and the test results were public, that, you know, that the DNA didn't match, the community was in disbelief. Like, they did not believe Candy. There were claims that she was only after his money. And people were like, well, she saw two nurses. Like, why didn't she tell somebody? Like, seriously?
Victim blaming.
Yes, dead on. In 1993, Dr. Shcneeberger, I don't know why the more I say it, the harder it is to say.
That's okay. I understand.
He agrees to a second blood test. And this one is closely monitored because Candy's thinking, no, something like the blood test must have got like mixed up with someone else's test. Something had to have happened. So the police, they closely monitor the whole process. And the blood work is even transported. Like it's like escorted by police. And again, the DNA does not match. And she's like, what the hell is going on?
Wow.
So things kind of just, they are what they are. In 1994, the police officially closed the investigation. But Candy, she kept fighting. She hired a private investigator named Larry O'Brien. And he breaks into Dr. Shcneeberger's car. Shcneeberger. I'm just going to call him John, okay?
Yeah, just go with that. I like it.
So the private investigator, he obtains a piece of hair and a chapstick that's left in John's car. The hair was useless because it didn't have a root, but the chapstick had enough cells to be tested.
Nice.
And oh yes, it matched the DNA that was collected from Candy. The samples.
So they're like, conflicting information. And she's probably like, I knew it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, if you watch the program, that's exactly like what she's like. Like, I knew it. Well, because this evidence was illegally obtained, illegally in quotations, a warrant could not be issued because, you know, it wouldn't be held up in court. But don't you worry, though, because Candy, she is not letting this go. I'm sure she feels defeated, but I would imagine she is brainstorming at this point. And if you just even watch an interview with this girl, you'll see why I say that. And plus, she doesn't want this to happen to somebody else. In 1996, she filed a civil lawsuit with the medical society. So, she went after his medical license, which is a smart thing to do. And for the third time, John goes for a blood test, but this time it is videotaped at a forensic lab, like a police environment. Now, the procedure is to draw blood from the finger, but John refuses and claims that he has a condition that causes bruising and insists on blood being taken from his left arm. So because this was a volunteer thing, they couldn't force him. They just had to roll with it. And the person that's drawing his blood, it takes her about 2 to 3 times to draw actual blood. And then she's like puzzled. She's confused because the blood doesn't look normal, like what it would normally, the coloring doesn't look right. And the end results are that the blood was too degraded. The sample was too degraded. And so Candy's like, what? Like, seriously? No one understands. A year later, in 1997, the stepdaughter of John confides in her mother, Lisa. She finds a condom. Well, actually, she shows her mother that there is a condom in her bed, and she tells her mother that her stepfather has done this to her before. He sexually assaulted her as well. So John is arrested, and police, they take hair, saliva, blood samples. Guess where they take the sample from? His blood.
The left arm, right?
No, they actually take it from his finger.
Oh, okay.
And the DNA, it matches. It matches the sample taken from the daughter, and it matches the sample taken from Lisa years ago. Or I'm sorry, from Candy years ago. His wife, John's wife, Lisa, she finds a box in his home office, and it's filled with drugs, including the Versed that was used on Candy. She finds condoms and syringes. And by the way, he was stripped of his medical license at this point.
Good.
At the trial, and through all this too, like, which I'll kind of go more into about Lisa, but she divorces his ass.
Well, yeah, good for her.
She throws him out, and she feels so guilty. Like, why didn't I believe this? Well, I mean, if I was in her position, I don't think I would believe it either.
Because the DNA wasn't matching every time.
Right.
And why was he so careless this time? Why did he? Because it wasn't volunteer blood work?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, it wasn't on his terms. It was on the police terms. So he had to follow the rules, their rules. At the trial in 1999, John reveals that he surgically implanted a plastic tube filled with one of his patient's blood inside of his arm.
Wow.
Yeah. So at every blood test, he would insist blood to be drawn from that arm. And since, the first 2 or 3 times were volunteer, no questions were ever asked. And they show a video, like the one where they videotape it in the forensic lab. They like zoom in on forensic files, and you can see, like, he pulls his sleeve up to a certain point, like just above his elbow. And if you zoom in, you can see the plastic tube protruding out of his arm.
I was going to ask you this. I was thinking I have so many questions.
Yeah, he would like make sure that his sleeve was only up or down so far, or up, whatever. And then, of course, like I said, it was under the skin, but you could see it.
This is amazing to me because I feel like when I get blood work done, they're always tapping the arm. You know what I mean? Is that why? Because they're like, we gotta make sure there's no hidden tubes in there.
Well, I mean, I guess like if you've got like a vein protruding, they don't have to like fill around. They just, there it is.
Maybe. This is so odd.
But I mean, this was in the early to mid 90s. So maybe phlebotomy is taking different measures.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh my God.
Who would have thought? The blood. So the reason why that person thought that the blood looked funny, the coloring didn't look right, was because the blood that was in his arm was 5 years old.
Oh my gosh. He should know as a doctor, he needs to change that more.
Stupid.
Duh. I mean, to even come up with that idea in the first place is kind of like It's blowing my mind. I don't know.
Yeah, come on, Dr. Genius. You think you're so smart to try to get away with this? You weren't that smart.
Nope.
When John was arrested, his youngest child was only 13 months old. Lisa had to sell her car and her house to pay all these bills, and she got a job with the Diabetes Association there in Canada. She thought that she would grow old with her husband. She thought they were soulmates and that they were best friends. But instead, like I mentioned before, she divorced him, and she had to deal with the fact that he was given a 6-year sentence. And at this point, she just wants what's best for her children. And that is not to have a visitation for her children to have to go to visit their father in prison once a month. This is like even worse than putting the tube in the arm. John was given an overnight visitation the night before his verdict with his 2 children. Now, these 2 children were both girls. One was 5 and one was 6 years old.
Oh, no.
And so Lisa, she was like, no, I'm not taking my girls to stay overnight with him. So can you believe that the judge charged her with contempt of court because she refused to let the girls go and charged her a fine of $2,000?
You know what? Good for her. It's worth $2,000 and being charged to keep her baby safe.
Yeah. I agree.
Cannot believe that.
In 2001, she tried to get...
Now, how many years did you say he was sentenced? Did you tell us yet?
Only 6 years.
That just doesn't seem right either.
No, like that's like a slap.
It is.
And the thing is, he only served like 2/3, which what would really be 2/3 of 6 years? I don't know.
But I mean, that was for 2 rapes.
Yeah. And I think I read something else like with his stepdaughter, it was over the time span of like a year to 2 years that he had. And I don't know if he would repeatedly do this between 1 to 2 years or if he just did it twice. Not quite sure about that, but I mean, oh my God, like once is enough, you know?
Right.
In 2001, Lisa tried to get the visitations off-site, like away from the prison. She was thinking, well, maybe we could just have the visitations at a hotel or something. And they told her that it was impossible because her former husband is too dangerous. Too dangerous to be out of prison, but safe enough to be around his daughters.
What how is happening?
I know, like how ridiculous does that sound?
Is this real life?
That is a good question. Coincidentally, when John applied for citizenship in 1993, which was a year after he attacked Candy, he lied to a citizenship judge when he was asked if he was, like a standard question, he was asked if he was a subject of a criminal investigation. He lied. And he even asked the judge, like, what would happen if a person lied?
Hello, red flag.
I know, like he's already like guilty conscience. The judge told him that the person would be stripped of their citizenship and deported from Canada. And then the same judge in 2000, she was watching a TV. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's like sweet victory.
Mm-hmm.
She was watching a TV news documentary about John and realized that he had lied to her. So she filed an affidavit to the court, documenting that he lied.
So they didn't even do an official background check before they gave him his citizenship?
I don't know.
Is this real life? I just don't understand it.
I guess, though, because it was allegations, there wasn't actually charges filed, then his record probably would have come up clean. Eventually, he did get deported back to South Africa in 2003. So, and like I said, he only served 2/3 of his sentence. So if he was sentenced in 99 for 6 years, that's what, 2001, he only served 4 years.
4 years.
4 years for what he I mean, he should have got 4 years just for being stupid.
He should have gotten 4 years just for the blood thing. I mean, that's theft too. He stole a patient's blood. Can you imagine that poor patient? How do you pick the person that you're going to steal their blood from? And then they're like in the criminal database for no reason. Right?
Yeah. Could you imagine? Because like we've talked about before, there's always wrongful convictions.
Oh, speaking of wrongful convictions and databases and stuff, did you ever send in your ancestry DNA?
No.
Girl.
This is why.
Come on.
This is why.
This story should tell you alone that they can do it without your ancestry DNA. Just turn it in. I think everybody should write in to operationevilpodcast@gmail.com or on our Facebook just to harass Rachael to send in her ancestry DNA test.
Way to sneak that in there.
Yeah. Yep. It was smart.
So this story was like short. That's all I got.
That's all you got? I have more questions.
Continue.
Where is he now?
Continue.
Where is he now?
He's still in what's it called? South Africa, as far as I know.
I just don't understand.
That's about as frustrating as, have you ever heard those stories where a woman gets raped and then she gets pregnant and then the man finds out and wants custody rights of the child?
Right. I know.
I saw a couple things about Candy, which I believe Candy is not her real name. Like I said, that's what they refer to her as in forensic files. There's information out there about her, but I just liked the fact of how forensic files did it, where they just kind of left her like kind of anonymous.
Yeah.
So I really didn't dig into what she's doing now. But I'm sure there's information out there if you want to find it.
I think her determination was pretty awesome because I know.
Think so.
I would have probably given up, especially after the second time.
Yeah. I mean, being from a small town, and, you know, they did say too that like people would like say, I don't know if they would outright come out and be like, oh, she's a whore, but they would make comments.
Yeah, people would do that back in the day.
That. Yeah.
That's why a lot of women wouldn't even report things as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the terminology that I think that I read was like that she was a troubled young woman.
Gee, I don't know why.
When I was doing research for this too, I found this other story because I was trying to see if there was a story about a woman who like kind of like the same scenario, but like in a woman's version, like story. The closest thing that I could find was that there was a woman that met this man online, and he got worried that she was just going to marry him for like citizenship.
Oh.
And he was on to her. So she goes into an elevator and starts punching herself in the face and claims domestic abuse.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, you know, this one story that I was watching that I found, it was like a current affair in Australia, I think. And he's like, you know, she's ruined my life. I can't believe she's doing this to me. So he was like trying to fight, like clear his name and everything. But they had it on video what she was doing.
I was getting ready to ask that, like inside the elevator.
Yeah. She's like, she goes, it looks like maybe it's in her apartment building or something because she only has on like this nightgown looking thing and no shoes. She just walks in the elevator and just starts punching herself in the cheek. Yeah.
She must not have known there were cameras in the elevator. That's horrible.
Another Jodi Arias, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, that was a good story. I didn't even know somebody could even do that. Like, I wonder, did he put that own tube of blood in himself, or did he talk somebody else into doing that for him? You know what I mean? Like,
I would say he did it himself.
That's what I would think too, because you wouldn't want someone to have that leverage over you.
Yeah. And like there was one quote or something that I read from one of his friends, like one of his close friends. He was like, in just disbelief that he would do something like this, but he more or less just washed his hands of him. So it makes me wonder, like, did people really think he was a good guy, like really nice, or did they have their suspicions that he was? Because there's just people that do stuff like that and they're creepy. You think back and you're like, they were really creepy.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, but the point is, I don't think that he would have trusted someone that much to tell someone else.
No, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think so.
You mean to tell me that if I came to you and asked you to put blood in my arm, you wouldn't do it?
Of course not. Yes, of course. I won't tell. I mean, no.
I would put a whole IV bag in your arm.
Oh, thanks. Well, do you have pictures that you're going to post of this guy?
Yeah, I'll share pictures and you'll get to see the little plastic piece that he used.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. Well, that concludes this week's episode. Dr. Frog.
Good day.
Good day. Eh?
Well, we should probably find some news clips.
Yes. If we can find any, we will insert those as well, which I would probably do that in the beginning. So you probably heard it already by the time you're listening and I'm done editing and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, remember, if you are craving more Operation Evil, and I know you are, check out our Patreon for bonus episodes. We put out at least one bonus episode per month. And then as we have different tiers, you can join and have different benefits, but for as little as $3, you can get these episodes exclusive to our little community. All right. So we'll be back next week with another episode told by me. It's going to be wonderful. I just know it.
And longer.
And longer.
Wonderful and longer.
It's going to be great.
Fantastic.
Fantastical. Everybody remember to hit up Rachael and give her shit about her ancestry DNA. I'm going to start asking you every week, did you submit that yet? Until you finally do.
Did you send your spit, please?
I'll send it for you.
Then we'll really be related.
I'll have your kid get drool from you or something while you're sleeping. My God.
That won't be hard to do.
Whatever has to be done, it's going to be done. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. Actually, no.
Bye.
Let me rewind.
You got to do the sound.
We will talk to you next week. Okay. Bye.
Bye.